She lost her job standing up for an Apache horse. 1 hour later, the Apache War Chief came to town. The year was 1884. The place was a dry, sun-blasted town called Dos Cabezas, Arizona Territory. The air smelled of horse sweat, creosote, and fear. The Apache Wars were supposed to be over, but everybody knew they were only sleeping. Ellie Harper was 23, small, sunburned, and tougher than most men twice her size. She had no family left. The Comanche had taken them when she was 9. The only thing she loved more than freedom was horses. She could gentle the wildest Mustang with a whisper and a handful of oats. That was why Harlan Graves, the richest rancher in the county, paid her $12 a month to work in his corrals. On the morning of July 14th, everything changed. A big crowd had gathered outside the main corral. Word had spread fast. Graves was selling a black stallion no rope could hold, no white man could ride. The horse was coal black with one white star on his forehead and eyes that burned like hot coals. Every old-timer in town knew that horse. 10 years earlier he had carried Apache War Chief of the Badonko Apache in a running fight against the cavalry. The army had killed Apache and taken the stallion as a prize. Somehow the horse had ended up in Graves's hands. Graves stood on a crate, waving a bottle of whiskey. Gents, this here is the finest piece of horseflesh in the territory. It starts at $200, cash or gold. Buyers from Tucson, miners, even a couple of army officers pushed forward. Ellie felt sick. She knew what would happen. Some fool would break that horse's spirit, spur him bloody, and the Apache would hear about it. Blood would answer blood. She pushed through the crowd. Mr. Graves, you can't sell him. The rancher looked down and laughed. Girl, you're paid to shovel manure, not talk. That horse is Apache. He was stolen in war. You sell him, the Chiricahua will come. A few men snickered. Graves spat tobacco juice near her boots. I fought Apache for 20 years. They're beat. Reservation dogs now. Get back to the barn, Ellie, or you're fired. She didn't move. I won't be part of this. Graves's face turned purple. You're fired right now. Get your things and get off my land before I have you dragged. Ellie looked once more at the black stallion. He stood quiet, watching her with those burning eyes. Something passed between them, something older than words. Then she turned, picked up her bedroll and her old Henry rifle, and walked away. The crowd jeered. Someone threw a rotten tomato that splattered on her back. She kept walking until she reached the edge of town. There was a little cottonwood grove by the dry wash where she had slept many nights when the bunkhouse was too loud. She dropped her bedroll, sat down, and cried for the first time in 10 years. Not for the job, for the horse. The sun was high and brutal. Her canteen was almost empty. She figured she would walk north at dusk, maybe find work at the silver mine. She closed her eyes for a moment, then she heard it, a low rumble, like distant thunder, but the sky was clear. The ground began to shake. Dust rose on the southern trail. Ellie stood up slowly. They came out of the heat shimmer like ghosts turning real. 30, maybe 40 Apache warriors riding bareback, faces painted black and red, rifles across their saddles. At their head rode a tall man on a paint horse. His hair was long and loose, held by a red band. A single eagle feather hung from his scalp lock. Even from 200 yards, Ellie knew who he was. Dahia, son of Mangas Coloradas, war chief of the Warm Springs Apache. Some called him the Red Eagle. The army had a $5,000 reward on his head, dead or alive. The town went dead quiet. Men ran for doors and slammed them. Windows shut. Somewhere a baby cried and was quickly hushed. Dahia raised one hand. The riders stopped in perfect line. The only sound was the creak of leather and the snort of horses. He spoke in Spanish, loud enough for the whole street to hear. Where is the man who sells my brother's horse? Harlan Graves had locked himself inside the saloon. Nobody answered. Dahia waited. Then he looked straight at the cottonwood grove. Straight at Ellie. She felt her heart stop. He nudged his pony forward and rode alone toward her. The warrior stayed in the street, rifles ready. When he was 10 feet away, he stopped. His eyes were black and sharp as obsidian. You are the woman who spoke for the horse. Ellie found her voice. Yes. Why? Because it was wrong. That stallion carried your uncle Nautilus into battle. He is not property. Dahia studied her for a long time. Then he dismounted. He was taller than she expected, scarred across the chest, wearing a blue cavalry jacket he had taken from a dead soldier years ago. You are not afraid. I have been afraid my whole life, Ellie said. Today I am done with it. A faint smile touched the chief's mouth. My people are watching from the mountains. They saw you stand alone. They told me a white woman had courage. He reached into a rawhide bag at his belt and pulled out a necklace, a single piece of turquoise on a leather cord. This belonged to my sister Lozon. She was a warrior and a medicine woman. She died last winter on the reservation, far from home. She told me one day a woman with hair the color of desert grass would return honor to our people. He held out the necklace. Ellie did not move. Asterisk, I can't take that. Asterisk, you already have. Dahlia said, honor is not taken. It is given. Asterisk behind him. 2 young warriors had ridden to the corral. One slashed the ropes with a knife. The black stallion burst free, bucking once, twice, then galloped straight to Dahlia. The chief placed a hand on the horse's neck and spoke soft words in Apache. The stallion quieted instantly. Dahlia swung up onto his own pony, then reached down his hand. Ride with us. Asterisk. Ellie looked back at the town. Doors were still shut. Graves was hiding under a table. She guessed. Asterisk. She took the chief's hand. He pulled her up behind him like she weighed nothing. Asterisk. The war party turned as one and rode south, the black stallion running free beside them. Asterisk. They rode for 3 hours, climbing into the Dragoon Mountains. Ellie expected to be killed at any moment, but nobody touched her. Children ran alongside the horses laughing. Old women offered her water gourds. Asterisk. At dusk, they reached a hidden camp in a box canyon. Fires were lit. A woman with kind eyes brought Ellie a bowl of stew and a blanket. Asterisk. Dahlia sat across the fire from her. Asterisk. Tomorrow the army will come looking for us. They always do. You can leave now. No one will stop you. Ellie looked at the black stallion grazing peacefully nearby. What will you do with him? Asterisk. He will carry my son into manhood one day. He will never wear a white man's saddle again. Asterisk. Ellie nodded. She felt something loosen inside her chest. Something that had been knotted since she was 9 years old. Asterisk. I think I'll stay a while, she said. Dahlia's eyes softened. Then you will learn our language, and you will teach us how to gentle horses the way you do. We have many stolen horses that remember only fear. Years passed. The army never found that canyon. Some say Dahlia made powerful medicine. Others say the soldiers were afraid to climb too high. Asterisk. Ellie Harper became known to the Apache as Isti, Nadeshki Spika, the woman who stood in the sun for a horse. She married one of Dahlia's warriors and had 3 children with eyes the color of the sky. Asterisk. She never went back to Doskabith, but old-timers swear that once a year, on the anniversary of that July day, a lone rider on a black stallion with a white star leaves a pouch of Spanish gold and a single turquoise bead on the steps of the church. Asterisk. And Harlan Graves. He sold his ranch cheap and moved to California. They say he never looked at a horse again without shaking. Asterisk. The Apache kept their promise. The town was never raided again. Asterisk. And somewhere high in the Dragoons, a woman who once lost everything for doing the right thing found a new family, a new name, and a life where courage was not punished, but honored. Asterisk. That is the true story of the day Ellie Harper lost her job standing up for an Apache horse, and 1 hour later, the war chief came to town. Asterisk. The end.